Welcome to North Country Commerce, a business and community service of the Plattsburgh North Country Chamber of Commerce. I'm Gary Douglas, president of the Chamber, and every couple of weeks we try to bring the North Country a new episode of this program, looking at topics of interest to business in particular, sometimes services available to business or things that are happening in the business community that are of interest and importance to everyone in the North Country. This program kind of touches on all of those, but in particular is about some services available to business here in the North Country, here through the Chamber in Plattsburgh. And we're going to help you know that those services are there, what they are, ways that you can use them, so that if you're in business, or if you're thinking that you might want to get into business now or sometime in the future, and many people do that at some point in their lives, they think, geez, I'm really good at doing something, and maybe I could do this as my own business. We're going to tell you that there are some friends out there for you that can help you think about that, plan for it, but also if you're in business, that there are also friends there to help you do things that you may be thinking about doing with your business, or working through those little problems or challenges that come up in business. We have two guests with us here today. Up from Albany is Daniel O'Connell with the U.S. Small Business Administration. Dan, welcome.
Oh, thank you, Gary.
And with our SCORE chapter, Service Corps of Retired Executives, which we're going to tell you about during this segment, Mark Rabin, who has been a SCORE volunteer for how long?
For over 7 years.
Over 7 years. He's our longest-serving volunteer in the program here in the Plattsburgh area at present, and we're happy to have him with us as well. Dan, the Small Business Administration, it's a federal agency. Its mission in general is to help small business, but give folks a snapshot, if you will. What does SBA do for small business that people should know about?
Well, we do a lot of things for small business. First of all, we provide management and technical advice and assistance, and when we do that through a number of programs, primarily through our SCORE program, which Mark is a representative of and a volunteer. This is a volunteer program of both retired and active executives who spend their time and efforts to help people go into business and stay in business. And it's been around for over 35 years now, and it's probably our best resource. The other thing we do is we try to provide financial assistance through the form of our SBA guaranteed loans, which have lots of horror stories associated with them as far as the length of time it takes and all the red tape and the paperwork.
And the word is loan, not grant.
The word is, yes, thank you. There are no grants. There are only loan and loan guarantees primarily. But we've cut the red tape and we've reduced the paperwork significantly. Vice President Gore likes to show on TV, we were the first federal agency to climb on board of his bureaucratic and red tape reduction program. And he's reduced the SBA loan application from a stack about that high to a stack about that high, which is only a couple of pieces of paper. So we really try to make it much more user-friendly and available to businesses that need it.
Now, explain your loan guarantee programs a little more, what they are, how they work. If somebody's thinking they need a quote-unquote SBA loan, what is it they can expect, and where is it they should actually go?
Okay. When we first started back in the early 50s, we were a direct lender, which meant that we loaned money directly to small businesses. You got a loan from the federal government. The demand quickly exceeded the supply of funds available, and we really did not know how to reach the people that really needed to be reached. And over the years, we've developed our loan guarantee program, and that's pretty much what we do entirely now, as far as our finance programs go. We let the lenders, the people that know how to lend money to small business, do it, but we enhance their ability to do it because the lenders have certain businesses that they don't like to lend to. There are certain high-risk businesses. In many cases, they don't like to lend to startup companies. There are lots of applicants who may be a little short on collateral, a little bit short on capital, may need a little bit more term. The bank would like you to pay it back in 3 years, and you really need 7 to pay it back. Then the bank will say, we need some more enhancement on this loan. So they come to the SBA to provide a guarantee. And we can provide a guarantee of 80% up to $100,000 and 75% over $100,000 up to our legal lending limit to any one borrower of $750,000, which means we can provide a 75% guarantee on a loan of $1 million to a small business.
And what that means in real, probably overly simplified terms for the bank is that if the business venture fails, worst case it comes to a foreclosure situation, that rather than they having to go through that, they're going to turn to SBA and say, you guaranteed this, pay us off as you said you would, and then SBA, you have to deal with the aftermath of that, so that they're in effect they're getting rid of some of the risk of making that loan, which is why they decide to make it, and they otherwise wouldn't have. They have to say that they wouldn't make the loan otherwise.
Yes, that's inherent in as soon as they apply for us for our guarantee, they've implied that they would not make it otherwise.
So what SBA really is doing, it's not making loans, as some people may still think is going on, at some favorable interest rate or some kind of really favorable terms. It really is just helping people get the capital, get the loan that they need that they otherwise wouldn't be able to get. It's leveraging the banks into making more loans.
Absolutely. We do have a limit as to what we'll let the banks charge, or non-bank lenders. There are a number of non-bank lenders out there that work in our programs, including the Money Store and New York Business Development Corporation in our state, Business Lenders Inc. There are a number of GE Capital, of what we term non-bank lenders, but we limit what they can charge on an SBA guaranteed loan, and we do not allow them to charge more than 2 3/4% over the low New York City prime rate on any SBA loan, which simply means that we put a cap on what they can charge. We do not put a minimum on what they can charge.
But the important thing to understand, though, is that for folks that have heard about SBA and again have those misconceptions, don't think that I'm starting a business that my first stop is going to be looking into those SBA loans because that's going to be to my advantage. It really is just do your business plan, figure out what you need, go to the bank. Your first preference is just to get straight financing if that's what you need, or from other sources. The SBA is a fallback that may be needed to help you leverage that loan if otherwise the bank thinks it's a decent loan, but they want some of the risk taken away to get them to make it to you. It isn't easier to go to SBA. It isn't cheaper. It isn't simplified, simpler than doing it other ways. It's just that they might help you get it where otherwise everybody's saying no to you.
That's correct. The best way to finance a business is internally. If you don't have to pay someone back for your business, that's the best way to do it. The second best way to do it is to have friendly funds available from family or from friends. They always start out, at least initially, friendly. Don't always turn out that way. But and the third best way is to get a conventional bank loan. Now, if you can't get a conventional bank loan, or the banker says, we have a policy, we don't like to make loans to new restaurants, but we will if the Small Business Administration will guarantee it. Well, that's when you come to us, and actually the bank comes to us. But I would encourage anybody that's going into business, or anybody that's in business that has some financing questions, to get in touch with the Small Business Administration and find out what the programs are all about. Get in touch with SCORE and get the advice and counsel that's necessary. And you're welcome to call me at any point, and I will be more than willing to share what knowledge I have on this.
And we're almost kind of starting in the reverse of what we should have, because you start with SCORE and the counseling and the business planning, and then you worry about going for the loans. But before we kind of back up and get to that, I did say that it's not necessarily simpler, but SBA lending is getting simpler than it used to be in some respects. And there's a program called LODOC, and you might want to tell folks about that, particularly business people out there that maybe have done some financing or maybe looked into SBA guarantees in the past but don't know about some things that have changed.
Yes, LODOC program started about 3 years ago and has just taken off. It really has reduced the burden on both the business person and the lender. It's for loans of up to $100,000. And on loans of up to $50,000, it requires a one-page application, half of one side of which is filled out by the banker. The small business person has to provide some information. On loans over $50,000, it provides, we require a little bit more information. The last 3 years' financial statements, if it's an existing business, or if it's a startup, the last 3 personal income tax returns of the principal. That's not to say you still don't need a business plan to convince the banker to make this type of loan. But assuming the banker is willing to do it, they submit a one-page application to us and some other supporting documents, none of which are overburdensome, and they fax this request to the Small Business Administration. Right now, the loans from this area are being processed in our Syracuse district office, but they will soon be moving to a centralized processing center in, believe it or not, Hazard, Kentucky, where there are people that work for the SBA are known as the Dukes. Dukes of Hazzard being an old TV show. The loan is reviewed, and assuming everything is found to be okay, an answer is faxed back within a couple hours or at least the following workday. The closing documents are then prepared and sent out, so it really reduces both the time involved and the amount of paperwork that's required. We're basing these on character for the most part. That's not to say you don't need some collateral and you don't need to have something at risk in the business. But if the credit history is good, and all things being equal, we will make these loans. We will not say, well, we're not sure. We really need a significant reason not to make the loan. And we're trying to, and we're approving probably 96, 97% of our low doc loan applications at this point.
That's great. One of the things that's happened, of course, it's happened in the federal and state governments. A lot of downsizing, agencies consolidating offices, and trying to do more with fewer people. It's happening in business out there too. Business people have been going through the same thing, and it's happened with the SBA over the last several years. We like to think here at the Chamber, given our experience at SBA, that they've decided to focus on quality rather than quantity. So they've kept Dan on board here. They kept the best, and we're happy to have Dan still working with us out of Albany. But there aren't as many offices or as many people there, quote unquote, at the SBA. But what's happening is that SBA is working more actively in its service delivery with programs like SCORE and with organizations like the Chamber here in Plattsburgh to help find alternative ways to get out there, work with the business community, get programs delivered. And we're delighted with that partnership. We work actively here at our Chamber with SBA. We have a resource room here at the Chamber, which we do this program in every couple of weeks, which is here for all business people in the North Country, not just members of the Chamber. We have a lending library here, and in fact, if you wanted to call the Chamber, we could send you a copy of our current lending library list, 563-1000 here at the Chamber. We have videotapes, training programs, audio tapes, reference books, and the Chamber is buying more materials all the time and building that here, so that's here as part of our service. And something else that we do with SBA that we began just about 2 years ago, and it's been building very nicely, I think is a very welcome service up here, is the SCORE program. And I'm going to ask the Dean of our volunteers, Mark Raven, to tell us what SCORE is and how it works.
Well, getting back to the basics, we're talking about entrepreneurs and other people who have ideas, and they feel that they've got something that they can market, and they don't know how to go about it, and they need a lot of help. Many of the areas that they look into are haphazard, and fortunately here at the Chamber we've had a chance to collate and put together programs through SCORE and other various programs help for these people. A businessman says to himself, oh, I've got a wonderful product. Where am I going to sell it? How am I going to sell it? What do I have to do? And so we're able to give him ideas and a plan whereby long before he needs money, he has to set himself down to see what assets he has and what he can do to further his goal. And that is the purpose of SCORE, which consists of a dozen approximately of retired and active business people who have been in business, who've gone through the steps, and therefore we are able to help them and direct them into spending their energy and getting the right steps. Many of them don't even know that they need to go to the state and get a tax ID. Many of them don't even know how to prepare a business plan, what their assets are, how much cash, what other fundamentals they have that are can be used as security when they finally do reach the point where they need to go to borrow some money from a bank. And so we're available, and there are many of us who try to specialize in certain areas such as marketing, sales promotion, analyzing the product itself, how to calculate their costs in manufacturing processes, where they might have a product that may have a high cost component that can be supplanted with a lower cost component, because we've been in a good number of fields. And the Chamber has been able to collate and gather and set this here where we have a focus point where people can come and get a lot of this information.
And the thing to stress for folks out there too is that, first of all, SCORE is free.
Yes.
So there's absolutely no gimmick here, no hidden cost.
Right.
It is a free service. These people are just dedicated business people volunteering their time to give something back to other people that are coming along doing what they did at some point in their lives, getting into business. And
Without the help
people.
of SCORE.
That's right. In many cases, that's exactly right.
Right.
And they come back and give back. And the other thing to stress, absolutely, it's confidential.
Absolutely, very much so. We take the information that is given us by the applicant, and this never goes beyond our own individual reception on that. And we only talk in round terms if we have to have an assistance from another SCORE volunteer, but we never mention the name of the applicant or the product, and we continue along those lines.
Now, as Mark mentioned, we have about a dozen volunteers right here stationed in various communities in Clinton, Essex, and Franklin counties, which is the area that we directly cover for anybody out there in that area that want to access SCORE. Just call the Chamber here at 563-1000 and we'll get them started, set up a meeting, whatever it takes to get them in touch with the right SCORE volunteer. And as Mark mentioned, we've also tried to recruit a variety of folks with different backgrounds, retail and manufacturing and so on, so that we can probably hook you up with somebody who's particularly relevant to what kind of business you're in or thinking of. But that leads us to the next point too, which is that SCORE is probably most used, at this point, at least our experience here, by people thinking of starting a business.
Yes.
And so certainly use it for that, to help with your business planning or to bounce your idea around with somebody who's kind of been there and can help you. But it isn't just for that, it's for people that are in business too, isn't it?
Yes,
that
I've
have that
had a
challenge and that
number of
question.
two customers, or clients, we want to call it that, who were fair size and needed additional information, and I was very helpful in directing them to the source whereby they were able to get additional information for their sales promotion.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to mention names or types of businesses, but as Gary just said, there are a great variety of people and businesses who seek our assistance, and we're very happy to do that.
And again, I just can't stress enough, free, confidential, accessible, there's no reason not to. So if nobody in a small business today shouldn't be running into some situations, because they just happen in business, where they couldn't use an opportunity to bounce something off somebody.
We find that particularly in new people who are just getting into a program and a business, we just have to focus their energies so that they don't waste a lot of time in daydreaming or saying, well, maybe I ought to do this or maybe I ought to do that. If they have something that is good, they should get all their energies putting into that and direct it along those lines. Then they will have a lot more time and be able to be certainly a lot more successful in reaching their goal.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of our attributes that we can have, that we can contribute to the success of any entrepreneur.
Now, I'm gonna put Dan and/or Mark on the spot a little bit here, because I don't know if they have this number, and I didn't tell them to have it. But there must be how many thousands of SCORE volunteers across the country, collectively?
I believe the last number I heard was about 13,000. And that leads me to a point I'd like to make.
Because we've actually got access to that whole network for something special.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You have access to the entire network. Not every SCORE counselor will know the answer to every question. But if we run into something that the local SCORE counselor doesn't know, on the internet, that will soon be available here at the Resource Center, SCORE does counseling online. So a SCORE counselor or a business person can write in their question online and have an online SCORE counselor respond to them. They will research the question and get back to them on it. Again, it's a free service. It's terrific. It's now open nationwide. You can have a SCORE counselor in California counseling a client here in Plattsburgh.
We get very many new ideas from the monthly bulletin, the Safe Arms, that is published by SCORE. And so they report on new ways to help businesses. And I read that regularly, every month, and I always find at least one new idea that has developed nationwide.
Mm-hmm. So don't think either that anything that might come up in your business is so technical or so specialized. Oh well, those SCORE folks are probably good for general things, but there wouldn't be somebody there that would really know this. I know one case that we had, I believe it was in the last year, that involved some questions about a technical aspect of textile processing. And they did call here, and I think Sue linked them with a SCORE volunteer that was somewhere out west that had been in the textile business. So nothing really is too arcane or too specialized when you got thousands of volunteers out there. You can almost guarantee one of them probably has some connection, even with something you might think is so specialized it would be unlikely that there would be somebody. There probably is.
Probably is.
But perfect segue that Dan gave me here too, which is what we see behind Mark over here. We have a computer in our resource room today, which we've just kind of gotten in place and gotten set up. This computer has been provided to the chamber by the SBA as part of our resource center here. It's now here and hooked up and activated and has some good programs in there, which I'll ask Dan to kind of describe what's in there. And it's here for two purposes. Our SCORE volunteers can use it and access it here at the chamber to help them do what they're doing for their clients. But it also is here just for business folks out there that might want to buy appointment. We'd ask them to please call ahead of time to come in here and perhaps access some things directly if they want to do that. And I also want to mention here too, West Telecom has donated internet access, so we have free internet access here for our volunteers and business people to access all of the information sources and resources that are out there worldwide, which we think is going to be just an enormous source of potential help out there once we learn everything that's out there and how to use it. So thank you, Dan, for helping us bring this online, but tell folks how they might be able to use this, what this brings to us.
Okay, welcome, Gary. I mean, it's my pleasure that we were able to donate this fine computer that was given to us by the Small Business Administration. We have a number of different programs relating to operating your own business available on this computer. We have the First Step series, which you plug in what state you're going to do business in, and it gives you the rules and regulations, unemployment laws, all of the pertinent information on doing business in New York State, for example. We have three or four different business plan templates on there if you want to do a business plan. One is fairly simple. The other is a little bit more involved, and the third is for the more sophisticated business plan, depending on your comfortability with the level. There are also the operating systems. We have Microsoft Word. We have Microsoft Publisher available on there. If someone wants to come in and develop a brochure or a flyer for their business, they're welcome to do that. We have Excel to do the spreadsheets and the calculations. There are lots of programs available. There are also icons for a number of CD-ROMs which are not available here at the present time, but we hope to have them available shortly. But in any case, it has a lot of demographic data, the 1990 census. If someone wants that information, they can simply call me, because I have the CD-ROM in my office in Albany, and I'll get it for them and fax it up to here to the chamber. So the information is all available. With the access of the internet online, they'll be able to access SBA Online, which is a wonderful website. They tell me it's the third most popular website on the internet. It has the availability of over 500 shareware programs that can be downloaded free of charge. You can get into the SBA homepages and find out all about our programs. We'll also provide the address for SCORE, Thomas's Register. There are a number of things for small business that's available once you get on the internet. So the knowledge is there, the help is there, and it's free. That's why we're doing this, is to help businesses grow in this region particularly, and nationwide.
That's a perfect wrap-up. I couldn't say it better. There you have it. SCORE is active here. Free confidential services if you're thinking of doing a business, if you're in business. And now we're on the web, we're on computer. We have that available, which just opens up all kinds of new windows for service opportunities here. Anytime you need assistance out there in the business community, or thinking of doing a business and need assistance, call us here at the Plattsburgh North Country Chamber, 563-1000. And be sure and tune in future weeks for other editions of North Country Commerce.